driver is pulled from car wreck. His face smashed against the steering wheel. Penn Star Helicopter Rescue has to get him to a trauma center fast. The hospital of the University of Pennsylvania is the closest.
We use either ground ambulance or helicopter, or in some areas of the country, fixed wing, to get people back to specialized centers, trauma centers, where the surgical teams are waiting for them.
And so when the trauma bay copied that report, they have no questions.
The hospital's a 5-minute chopper ride away.
It does have an exceptional level of pain going right now that we're not going to treat.
Okay, Penn Star 1 will make that notification.
Yeah, roger that.
We admit over 550 gunshot wounds a year. It's like the Wild West is one way to look at it. You know, and it's an aspect that I personally don't live every day of my life wondering if I'm going to be shot or stabbed or, you know, make it to the next day.
And it was twice in the leg, once in the back.
A patient treated a week earlier for multiple gunshot wounds has returned complaining of pain. Steve Larson takes charge.
We'll get him a room where we can examine him.
It's not the first shooting incident this couple has experienced.
I got shot too. I wasn't shot Sunday, but I was shot before then. And it kept me in here for about 12 days for a gunshot in the leg.
How you doing there? You look at me, man. You can ask you some questions. Do you have any medical problems? Let me sit you up. Take a listen here. Some people blame the patients and say, no, I don't blame the patient. Whatever got them there, yes, it's partly their responsibility. But I'm beyond pointing fingers. That looks good. Your chest wound looks good. As far as that bullet, that'll work its way out on its own. What? Through the back here? Yes. And that's the one that's draining a lot? Yes. It's this one.
Most gunshot wounds are sterile, so doctors can leave the bullets in. But a wound in the patient's leg is infected. The bullet has to come out.
Call trauma. Have them come down and see him.
Penn Star arrives on the hospital roof carrying the accident victim who smashed his face on the steering wheel. It's been just over 5 minutes since Penn Star left the crash scene on the outskirts of town. With trauma patients, time is precious. Every minute counts.
Most of the time they are dying from serious head injury that requires a neurosurgeon, and in a high percentage of patients, neurosurgical intervention, or they're bleeding to death.
Okay, we'll listen up for a nice, concise report.
18-year-old male, unrestrained driver, questionable loss of consciousness. His car hit a stone wall, caught on fire.
The team that unfolds in front of you after the trauma alert is made up of 3 basic components. There's the airway team, there is the assessment and evaluation and treatment team,
Anywhere?
and then there's the support team.
Thank you.
The analogy is that of an orchestra. What you're seeing is a team. They're all reading off the same sheet of music.
Okay, secondary survey can start. X-ray. Come on in.
The title of it is A Proper Trauma Resuscitation, but they're each playing their own part.
Good. Okay, here we go. So we got a lot of things happening at once here, so everybody accommodate everybody.
They go through their sheet of music. If I orchestrate that correctly as the attending, keeping all those 8 people in sync, in line, working together,
Coming through with a sharp.
then it really does come out as a beautiful piece of music.
The early stages of trauma treatment are critical.
The axiom on which the treatment is based is time is against you.
And we're burning a little bit of daylight here, so we want to get the scan as soon as we can. How long have we been here?
Too long. A few minutes.
Surgeons call their precious time to act the golden hour.
His whole face is split open from his nose down through his lip and then across. It's going to be a major reconstruction. All the muscles of the mouth are gone. They've been shredded.
Team, last picture, and we're packing and going, okay? Last picture, we're packing and going.
Stabilized and out of danger, the patient can now go safely to the operating room for reconstructive surgery on his mangled face.
The system works. There's no doubt. I mean, the evidence or the proof is in the pudding. You know, the system works.
It works for the doctors, but what about the patients?
It must be overwhelming. I cannot imagine ever being the patient. They basically see about 5 people attacking them, one person, one arm, one person, the other arm, one person, the head, one person cutting their clothes off. It's got to be overwhelming. I mean, they must feel like they're getting attacked.
71.
we were working. I was up on top of the ladder, and the ladder started shifting, and I couldn't keep my balance.
What do you got here, guys? Alert us ×2, guys. What? ×2. Alert us again.
Trauma system has been activated. Trauma system has been activated.
And I fell off the ladder. It was about 20 feet in the air, and I just took a pretty big fall.
He's got a little ecchymosis on the left chest wall.
And then I remember waking up in the trauma center. And the needles in, and it was just moving so fast, and so many people taking care of one person, and it just scared me. That's what made I was really like, oh man, something's wrong, you know.
Hold still. Watch your fingers. Try to relax.
You know, and I was just thinking about my wife and my kids. Everything was going through my head, like, you know, if something happened to me. I was just hoping that everything was okay.
Kevin, I spoke with your wife, all right?
Kevin Yakovetti's fall at the shopping center is not too serious. He is sent to a recovery room with bruised ribs.
Basically, this guy was shot probably about a week ago in his shoulder and his leg, and we ended up sending him home the next day. He actually came back because one of his bullet sites had abscessed. If you could just make a little incision and drain it, they feel so much better. They always ask you for something for pain, but I've never had to give pain medication.
Oh man, that don't feel better. That do not feel better.
There's a lot more in there.
If I had a bullet in my leg and somebody was going to dig it out, I hope to God that they would give me something for pain, because it hurts. That's not right. You give the guy analgesia if you're going to do that.
You guys think you guys think the needle in there again?
Put your hands down.
Oh my God.
I'm going to open it up a little bit.
Dr. Hoyle believes that injecting analgesia only makes the pain worse. The fluid adds to the pressure in the wound.
I should have given him analgesia. This isn't the Civil War. I mean, we don't tell people to gnaw on a piece of wood. You give him analgesia, take the pain away. It hurts.
I mean, I'm a senior resident already. I don't need somebody else to tell me what to do on something that I've done a million times before. All right, the bullet's out.
Can I see it? What kind of bullet is it?
It's this.
Looks like a 9. Baby, that wasn't no trade. It was a 9. It's a Glock.
To disrupt the ER like that with all that screaming, it's not right either.
It's annoying when someone's standing over you saying, well, this is what you should do. I mean, that night in particular, I was probably a little bit pissed off. Like, I know how to do this. Leave me alone.
It hurted worse than it did when I got shot. I don't want nobody else to go through that pain either. That's a pain that you could do without.
Still going?
Are you wasting money on spoiled food? Then you need EuroSealer, the amazing new sealer that creates an airtight seal that locks in freshness so food lasts longer. Simply slide EuroSealer along the edge of any bag and it's sealed airtight.
An all-day event here on TLC.
Let me give you all some of these things, and let me just give you a little background. Those of you that don't need to be here can take off. Okay, so you can't be critical of our colleagues in emergency medicine. They are running an urban ED, and you've all been down there at night, and some nights it is absolute bedlam. It is bedlam.
Call nuclear medicine. Okay about that? That just answering the page? Tanya, open your mouth and take a big breath. I like the speed. I like the pace of it. 2, 3. It's always an unknown that's coming in, and you don't know what's happening. That particular day was a very busy day, and I was pushing overwhelmed.
ER doctors like Sarah Stamer are on their feet all day. They have to sort through the chaos, separating minor complaints from major emergencies. It's their call.
His name is Casper DeLuca. He's 70 years old, and he has this just humongous full-layer laceration of his right posterior lateral chest wall.
Sarah Stamer is called in to supervise Mr. DeLuca's case. He slipped in the bathtub and gouged his back on a ceramic soap dish. Dr. Stamer decides not to call the trauma team, but to sew up the wound here in the ER.
I must have went in a little too far, and I slid on the mat. And when I fell, I hit the soap dish.
Pretty tough soap dish.
I was in with him. I was supposed to be helping him into the tub. It wasn't much of a help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Stamer. How are you?
Okay.
Do you understand what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. One of your lungs is collapsed, and you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's fixable.
Dr. Stamer is racing to keep up with the flood of cases. Patients are filling the hallways.
Laura, I haven't talked to either mom and dad. Laura, this is about the most important thing I've ever called about.
Michael Bressler is a freshman at Penn.
Mom, I got hit by a bus. I'm in the emergency department of the University of Pennsylvania. Mom, I don't know if you need to come. Mom, I don't know if you need to come down. Mom, I don't know if you need to come down. I don't think you do. Mom, let me just listen to me, okay? Mom, well, you're gonna be crazy the whole way through unless you know all the facts. Okay, I'm cut up. I lost 2 teeth. They were knocked out. I'm gonna need CAT surgery, whatever. I'm not looking my best right now. You don't have to come down. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.
His clavicle is very thick.
Doctors in the intensive care unit are treating Damon Pierce several days after he's brought into the ER with a gunshot wound between the eyes. During a routine procedure, the pressure on Damon's brain unexpectedly rises to a dangerous level. Doctors stop the procedure and give him more painkillers.
So far, he's had 5.5 of morphine.
While Damon's brain pressure returns to normal, his condition remains critical.
The poor ED physician is standing there, got 16 rooms running, got a bunch of people going on, got a bunch of residents seeing people, and the next thing they know is a Philadelphia policeman will walk by, literally, with somebody thrown over their shoulder.
I gotta go see 8. I gotta go see 8. I gotta go see 8. But you are running. You don't get a lunch break. You don't go to the bathroom very often or at all.
The ER is so hectic, Sarah Stamer can't keep on top of every case. Mr. DeLuca is still bleeding.
Sir, how are you?
Good. Because of an earlier heart attack, Mr. DeLuca is on Coumadin, a blood-thinning medicine. This makes closing the wound potentially complicated.
You holding up all right? Yeah. Good. We're getting there.
Okay.
Because he said anytime you black out,
right,
they have to make sure there's no swelling of the brain.
Let me see this now.
Don't touch it.
You touch it.
You see what
I don't
your
want to
eyes.
touch it.
Yes. 2 were chipped and 1 is loose.
Here, I'm showing you his picture. How handsome he is.
So I started my run today. I'm like, this has been the best day in such a long time. Great test, great magazine. The only thing that could ruin it is if I got hit by a bus. I said that. And then
The emergency room staff can't get Mr. DeLuca's wound to stop bleeding, even after hours of effort.
It's oozing everywhere. It's coming out too fast. Why don't we get you some decent light, okay? Well, it's just going to take a little bit more time to get under control. I'm not surprised that we're having some problem getting the bleeding under control.
But it is controllable.
It is definitely controllable. It's definitely going to stop. It's just going to take a little bit more, okay? All right. In this case in particular, I would have liked to have known probably an hour sooner than I did know that this repair was not going along as planned. I think it's enough. He's been here. We've been trying at this for now 2 or 3 hours. So I'm just going to call trauma, okay, and just see if we can get somebody, because you've done a great job. I've got a very hard-working surgical intern down here now who's been working on this humongous laceration, and it's kind of gotten out of control. I think he needs some help.
A lot of times you will have to go down and relieve the ED team. It's okay, don't panic. Identify the ED attending, especially the seniors or the fellow, and say to them, what's going on?
Sylvia Hoyle comes down to take over.
When I went down there, and the patient had been in the ER for probably close to 5 hours. He had lost, some blood. I thought with his age and previous medical problems, it's just safer. Let's bring him upstairs, close it.
All right, baby.
Mr. DeLuca goes off to the operating room where the trauma team is able to cauterize the wound and close it with tools that aren't available in the ER.
I'm a doctor. You know where you are right now?
But for Sarah Stamer, the day is far from over.
Hey, handsome. How are you? I didn't mean to kick you out of the way. Thanks.
The patients keep coming.
Don't go to sleep. Okay, right. So, you've never seen him before.
The pace is relentless.
Hey, buddy. I'll show you his x-ray. His x-ray.
The work never ends.
Saturday, a stroke of bad luck. Living up.
Oh, please.
Sherry, put your legs down flat.
Keep your hand down, sweetheart.
Cherie Joyner was attacked with a box cutter during an argument with a friend. The emergency room staff calls the trauma team in to consult.
Okay? Dr. Hoyle here's going to give you the once-over and make sure everything's okay. Hang in there.
I like to be in the operating room. It doesn't matter what time of night or day. Whenever they call you and you get the chance to operate, you're usually pretty happy.
Sylvia Hoyle puts up with the stress and long hours because of her love for surgery. It's what keeps her going.
You have dedicated your whole life to this field that you love, and you have to love it before you go into it.
She came charging in at me with a box cutter. I tried to grab her hand the first time, but she cut me.
Take a nice deep breath, give you a little squeeze my hand.
Dr. Hoyle can't tell how much damage the box cutter has done. She'll have to take Cherie upstairs to the OR to explore.
All right. Yep.
Emergency room doctors have their own reasons for loving the job, their own ways of coping with the difficult schedule.
You eat so fast. You become good at it. I'm sure I'm a...
You don't even need to chew it.
No, you can just inhale.
He's inhaling.
I did a lot of jobs growing up, everything from dishwashing to short order cook to tree surgeon. And I found my attention span after about 3 weeks start to wax and wane. Can we break this chart? She's ready to go to the OR. The emergency medicine is drawing my attention because there's always something different. 18 years old, you got any medical problems?
No, that's it.
Michael Ruley was shot in the leg.
Did you get up and try to walk after this happened?
I did.
It's in a single entrance wound, and there's the bullet sitting right in the surface. That's resting up against the tibia. This is going to be tough. Hello, Mom?
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Dr. Larson.
All right.
Your son's okay. He's got a bullet wound to his leg.
Where is he?
He's in the back now being worked on. They're getting some lines.
I have to see him.
Well, you're going to have to wait a little bit. All right?
Chest looks normal.
Sylvia Hoyle needs to find out if the box cutter penetrated any of Cherie Joyner's internal organs.
Okay, we're going to the OR.
Everything looks fine.
Great. OR bound. This is the good stuff. Not for her, but this is the good stuff. This is actually pretty neat. Have you heard of laparoscopy?
Doctors use laparoscopy for exploratory surgery.
Nail scrub. Gotta get your whole arm scrubbed. I am starting. What we really like is to be operating. It's fun to diagnose people and to get them through their injuries and whatnot. But the real fun is actually being there and taking care of it. Yeah, if you could check on. It's a lot of sacrifice. You have to be willing to give up a lot.
Hey, there you are. How's it look? Oh, yeah, there it is. You're lucky. Okay.
Steve is a true advocate for his patients, and he has a very strong sense of maintaining the balance in his life, and has a very active life outside of medicine, which I think I'm probably not as good as he is about doing that.
Okay. I have, hobbies, interests, like sports. I have dogs. I should prioritize. I have a family. Let's set that straight.
Now's the time.
In the laparoscopy, Sylvia Hoyle inserts a tiny camera through a small hole in Cherie's abdomen.
Show me where she is, man.
A probe enters through a second incision.
That's it, Sylvia. You got it, man.
Help me, Jesus.
You're gonna make her bleed.
I'm not gonna make her
Yes,
bleed.
you are. You're gonna tear that and it's gonna bleed.
Sylvia!
There, what about right there?
That's from you.
That's from you tearing it.
Oh, you guys.
I'll get out of here and let you two fight out one-to-one.
Surgery is definitely the most male-dominated field. You have to prove to them that you could do it and that you're just as good or better than the people they have that are men. Thank you.
The laparoscopy shows no internal damage, so the slash wound is sewn up, and Cherie is sent to a recovery room.
Okay, case closed. I'm going to lunch. Thank you. I'm coming.
So the bullet really hasn't mushroomed out yet, so you should be able to grab the end and just pull it out. Each gun has its own fingerprint in terms of the spin. You can see where the bullet
Right.
gets caught and spins. Kind of cool.
The emergency room is under control for now, but that could change at any minute.
You have no way of predicting, but it's a weekend night. It's kind of rainy out. I think something's going to show up.
It's Saturday night, the dreaded shift for any big city ER. The night when the trauma center feels like a war zone, when the hospital can look like a madhouse.
I'm going anywhere. Peter, say, come on, Peter. Peter, come on.
This is Saturday night action here.
Everybody, calm down. Calm down.
Sam, where can I put him?
1, 2.
It's already the 5th alert for the trauma team.
I have admissions on the phone. We don't have a name. Lucis carotid on the left. That sounds like thanks.
What really makes it grind and really makes it, you're down on things is when you haven't gotten enough sleep and you're really tired and you have to get up for that 5th alert, but you're exhausted and you really want to take a nap. I think that's when you're probably at your lowest.
Hi, it's Mark at Penn Star. You call the alert. It's a 19-year-old female with definite closed head injury. She's paralyzed and intubated. They'll give you a full report bedside.
You can't fear what's coming in next. You'd be paralyzed.
Robin Lewis is in a deep coma. She fell at her high school dance, landing on her head.
19-year-old female was apparently at a football game, fell backwards off a set of bleachers about 15, 20 foot high, striking a concrete surface. Was unconscious when EMS at the scene. They tried to nasally intubate her. They were unsuccessful.
Some of the doctors have been on their feet all day.
You have to be willing, in this kind of an environment, number one, you have to be willing to be tired. You have to have a lot of stamina. Trauma surgery in particular, because so much of it's at night, you got to be willing to get out of bed.
She has a cervical step-off right here.
I think trauma surgeons get burnt out a lot quicker because it's their hours. They're probably the only attendings I know that stay in-house 24 hours.
Somebody, Dan, go hold inline traction for Jamie for these films. Get up above. No, inline traction up above.
You're there in large part because of the thrill of the big whacks, of the big hits. So if those are the ones, I just want to get a read on these 4.
The ER is so busy, tempers begin to flare.
If they bump me, I mean, he's gonna...
They bump you, they bump you. And
isn't there one room for trauma? Is there one for trauma and one room for other things?
When you stay up all night getting spanked by trauma admissions, it's very difficult to go home the next day and really be as attentive to your family as you would want to be and as they would want you to be. So it's a trade-off.
Robin Lewis may have a serious brain injury. X-rays show a fractured skull.
In the car. Dental. She's got all braces in. Yeah, she's young, she's pretty, she's... Shame.
Hit anywhere else that you know of? So what happened? You got shot and you ran?
Yeah, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I can't leave my soul there at the bedside. I got to get on because if I spend a half hour chatting with this guy, the ER's backing up. So this he's going to be fine. I mean, he's lucky. Lots of bullets flying. He only catches a graze across his head. But it's like, ooh.
Relax. Let your leg come down.
It's past midnight, and there is still no time for a breather.
Come on, Craig. Just go with it.
The patients just keep coming.
To us, okay? You gotta stop fighting us here, buddy. We need to know what's going on.
This is like the 10th since about 7.
And this is the point where it becomes so ridiculous. You're like punch drunk, just sort of laughing. We all know nobody's going to sleep.
Another patient, another fall. John Walton struck his head slipping on the steps of a church.
Respiratory rate is 20.
Nights like this are what the trauma surgeons train for.
To be a surgeon, you have to train at least 5 years. And in those 5 years, you're taking call every other night. You're taking call every third night. I mean, you're in the hospital 100 hours a week.
I love you. I'm so hot. Like, hold on, let me just change. I'm like so cold. Are they gonna need me? You want to go up with him at least, and then decide from there?
Yeah.
I'll take him up so I could ungown.
Yeah.
So I could eat a cookie. These days, people think, well, doctors make too much money, and we give up a lot to get to where we are. Today, I'm working 24 hours straight. Plus, we don't have a normal life by anybody else's standards.
Mr. Walton is 86. His head injury is especially serious because of his age. A CAT scan reveals heavy bleeding in his skull.
What are the chances of a man of that age with that severe of a closed head injury of ever regaining a functional life? Unfortunately, we do have some fairly good science that tells us that this is highly, highly unlikely.
2 in the morning and still no respite.
All right.
I'm relaxed.
It's a little hard when you got 3 people yanking on your leg, right?
Rob, I'm here for you, honey.
Robin Lewis's mother arrives.
I love you.
Doctors are concerned that Robin is still in a coma from her fall at the dance. Her mother tries to rouse her.
These things, you help me so much.
The coma that she was in, the inability to wake up, the inability to move her arms and legs on command, actually are signs that she may in fact have bleeding into her brain.
The trauma system has been activated. Trauma system has been activated.
This guy's intubated. All right, auto pedestrian, approximately 50-year-old male, destroyed the windshield in front of the vehicle. He's got just about an amputation to the right leg. The left arm is completely mangled. He's had a rhythm and pulses the entire time, approximately 90 to 100, sinus on a monitor. Agonal respirations, 3 or 4, intubated, unable to get an IV. He's all yours.
Okay. The trauma team is left with a hit-and-run victim who was dragged for a city block by a speeding car.
Hands off.
His injuries are devastating.
Somebody feel for a carotid pulse, please.
It's a fight for life.
Right foot's actually warm.
When someone comes in and they are dying in front of your eyes, it is tremendously draining. It keeps us humble, and it keeps us in touch with the fact that all of us are human, and humans will die of injury, and there's nothing that physicians or nurses can do about it.
Do you have a defibrillator?
Right here.
36-2 for bow, please. The abdomen's getting distended. Hold CPR. Everybody clear?
Right here.
Okay, do we have a long cardiac needle?
All right, we're gonna call it. It's 3 o'clock, okay? Or 2:58. Thanks, everybody.
This was a lethal injury. There's nothing that you or I or anyone could do to save this patient.
Hi, this is Dr. Check at UPenn in the trauma service. We just pronounced a guy in the trauma bay from a massive MVA and wanted to report it to you.
We see a lot of death on this service, and there's a side of me that's pretty sensitive. So you try to depersonalize it, and you try to maintain this sort of rational distance from things, and because otherwise you can't do your job. So you just deal with it and just get things done. Wait for the next one.
Hopping out there.
I remember him leaving against medical advice. Let me go and...
So she comes into telemetry.
Yeah, and 5 hasn't been seen yet.
Okay, great. That's good. All right, thank you, night people. Appreciate it.
Bye. See you guys.
After a long night, Steve Larson heads home, and the day shift takes over.
Hey, have a good day. I'll send you a postcard.
And what else is connected to me, Mom?
Robin Lewis, who fell at her high school dance, is out of her coma. She has no lasting damage.
At the school I hit my head, everyone thought I died. And they were trying to call my mom to find out the funeral date.
Hey, Robin, how you doing? Y'all set to go home today?
Yep. I don't remember anything. I don't remember going to school. And I don't remember going to the dance. And I don't remember hitting my head. Bye-bye.
Tuck your arms in.
Hi.
Thanks.
How are you? I get a lot of patients who come back and say thanks. How are you? And I do it because I love doing it, and I do it because I think it's a great job, and it's a great specialty. You have to go in and hook in and get them to like you and trust you, because this is all you got. You can't wait for the next visit.
Good. Open your eyes so we can go on a trip. You've been relaxing enough.
Mr. Walton is not recovering from his fall on the church steps.
Oh, but I can't see.
His wife's words don't reach him. The heavy bleeding in his skull leaves doctors few options.
He's allergic to penicillin.
The degree to which our technology is adequate to keep him alive far exceeds our ability to give him any kind of quality of life. Squeeze my hand. Squeeze my hand. Because we can't fix his head injury. There's no way. We can't give him a new heart at the age of 86. So what we need to do is get together with his family, try to do the right thing for him.
Dr. Grossman decides to tell the family that further treatment will only prolong Mr. Walton's death, not his life.
He's got a grip.
It's never easy to tell somebody that, there's really nothing more we could do, or, we really shouldn't do anything more because of how bad the injury really is.
Okay. See you later, pal.
Sometimes the best thing I can do for a patient is let him go.
The family decided to withdraw life support. Hours later, Mr. Walton died.
The hard part about that is you see this older man who just fell from a step and has a lethal brain injury. And then you see a patient who got shot in the head who does fine. And that's hard to deal with psychologically.
All I remember is walking around the corner and I got shot.
18-year-old black male got point-blank range in the forehead, right on the bridge of the nose. Entry, no exit.
Damon Pierce is now out of danger from the bullet between his eyes. Through intensive care by trauma doctors, he's recovered in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think it runs through everybody's mind, like, why am I doing this when, they're just going to come back, maybe, not be as fortunate the next time. Damon? Hi. How are you? Sometimes I think, I can't believe this guy made it through. I don't usually feel that, I did it myself. But this was really a miracle. Turn your light out? Yeah, okay.
When you have one of these devastating injuries and you are able to stop the bleeding and reconnect the anatomy and make things right again, that's the all-time high. That is absolutely the reason that all this should be, and in fact is.
Male got in some sort of domestic fight, crashed his car into an abutment, ran from the scene, was found about an hour later with a self-inflicted knife wound to the chest.
I don't feel like it's something that requires bravery per se. When I'm outside of this building, you see death or something happens in the neighborhood. Yeah, that's tough for me. So if these things were things that I was just sort of experiencing as events in everyday life, I think that they'd be very difficult. I just take a very dispassionate view towards things. And if there is a right stuff, I guess that's sort of what it is.
151/66.